So welcome to another episode of the Healing Chronic Illness Summit. And today I have a special guest from Panama with me. Today we'll be talking with Peggy, and she's a gut healing expert and is helping hundreds of people to improve their gut and getting healthier. Welcome, Peggy.
Welcome. Thank you so much for having me, Eva.
Such a pleasure to have you on the show.
Thank you.
So, can you tell us a little bit more about your story? I mean, I've heard a lot about, you're sharing a lot of information about how people can better, but what was it actually that got you started on a healthier diet or, the medical medium diet, so to say, protocol?
Yeah, good question. I mean, I get that asked a lot. Usually the question is, how did you come to this work? Why do you help the people? Why did you start a YouTube channel? And like what I've heard from most of the people in my profession, it usually starts with their own health struggles. And then they healed themselves and then they share that knowledge. And I feel that that's one of the best ways to actually become somebody who supports other people in their health. However, for me, although I had a huge amount of health problems myself, for me, what actually was my wake-up call was something different. Like the trigger for my search, getting into health and understanding how to heal the body was when my best friend, Aka, the only friend that I had, the only person really where I connected to early in my life, which was my dad, when he got diagnosed with a brain tumor, malignant brain tumor, fast growing and spreading. And I still remember when he came home, my parents were living separately and I was living at my dad's because he was my only friend, right? I didn't really like my mother. And he came home and in front of the washing machine, he told me that the doctor said to him that he won't make it to his next birthday. And that was actually the first time I saw my dad crying. He was such a lovely, happy person, always helping people, always kind. This was the first time I saw him crying. And that's when I felt like, oh my God, something is happening. I was super confused. I was scared. And I really, during these many operations that he had and seeing him suffering and fighting for his life, and then he really died before his next birthday, I was so confused. I started to withdraw my energy really inside myself. And I still went to school, but it was all just mask. You know, I just pretended to be like nice little girl. But inside myself, I was searching. I was super busy. I woke up in the morning at 5, just reading all kinds of stuff from spirituality to medical books, understanding the body. And I was searching for answers to really the basic question, like what's the meaning of life? What's death about? How can we heal? And those deep questions, they didn't stop occurring for a long time. And so I studied medicine and I went off and did all kinds of educations. I was at some point over-educated, you could say, but I was still searching. And so at some point, I stopped studying medicine, and I still remember my grandpa stopped talking to me. He was a professor for chemistry, and for him, this was like the biggest embarrassment ever for the family. Peggy, who was the starter or the brain, stopped studying medicine, and he stopped talking to me for 4 years. The only grandfather I ever had, ignoring me, like birthdays, everything. And because he didn't understand this, he didn't know what search means. He was just like, I was just a dropout for him. And I told him that the answers that I was looking for, they weren't in university medicine, because university medicine, and it was good to study it, definitely for 4 years, but they think the body is a car, basically. You know, like take this part out, put this part in. But this is not this never resonated with me. And for me, it's really, health is not just physical. That's what I learned. Health is not just physical, and it's about all aspects of life really coming together.
Absolutely.
Yeah, one of my dear colleagues, which I treasure a lot, he almost died twice from kidney failure. He had like near-death experience. His name is Jerome Braggs, and he brought a concept into life which I very much resonate with. He talked about the four soul vitamins. So usually I talk a lot about, physical vitamins like zinc and B12 and all of that, and the medicalmedium protocol. But he takes it a step further, and he said that what actually helped him heal was the soul vitamins. And when I look back into four soul vitamins are purpose, deep connections, relationships, joy, and relaxation. And when I look back into my life back then, when I was suffering from huge like allergies, asthma, memory problems, anxiety, couldn't concentrate, pain all over, super tired, don't want to wake up. I know that for me, at least, I was lacking 3 of those soul vitamins as well. So for me, diet and habit is like, it plays a huge role, definitely, but just drinking the celery juice 16 ounces per day in the morning is not enough. I've got clients who I work with who come to me who did the medicalmedium protocol for years, and they still are sick, and they're like, Peggy, what should I do? And then we look into like, what's the connection? What's the soul search? What's the connection with all these aspects of life? Because it's not just physical. The human body is really just an expression of what happens beyond what we can see, like soul purpose, and all of these things come definitely into play as well. Okay, long story. That's my story.
That's a very interesting story.
Thank you.
I love the inspiration with the 4 soul vitamins. Yeah.
Yeah, I've got a video on that one as well, where I go more into depth and explain them.
Yeah,
and
I've seen it before.
On an interview with Jerome as well. It's just really, really, he has a great presence. I love this guy. So, such a wise, kind soul.
Yes, I also saw a lot of his videos.
Oh, great. Yeah.
Thanks to you.
Oh, great.
So what do you usually tell people? How do they, if they already tried the medicalmedium things and applied it for a long time, or so to say, a long time, and what is it usually they're lacking the most then? You see that it is only the soul vitamins, or is it also that they're kind of making some mistakes in practicing the protocol and using the supplements or foods?
Mm-hmm. So for me, one of the people that really inspires my work is definitely medicalmedium, Anthony William. He's a great guy, but it's just one part of it. I feel like every health practitioner has a little bit his own note. And my note is very much connected to gut feelings. This is why the YouTube channel is called Gut Feelings, because I believe that we all have the answer like inside of us. And what I want to help people and share with people is that they can be powerful, and they can be more independent from what happens outside there if they learn to really connect with their inner truth, their gut feelings. And then when people like medicalmedium pass their way, or they find my YouTube channel and all of that, that's great. But I want them to take that as inspirations and always recheck with themselves. So maybe, sorry, the wind. So maybe for them, the 16 ounces in the morning with the celery juice just doesn't work. I've got people, they are in pain, and it's not because they are allergic, it's just because it's too cleansing at this moment in time. So there is not like the problem that everybody makes. If that would be the case, then we would have just solved that somewhere in a nice program. I think the biggest problem is that we trust other people more, the experts, the doctors, the medicalmedium, the Peggy Schirmer, the whoever out there, trust them more than trusting in our own wisdom and learning to really connect with ourselves. I think that's the biggest.
Yeah, I see that too sometimes, that people follow some kind of protocol, and I'm doing this exactly how the person is telling me to do it, but you also got to listen to your own body and to the signs of your body to connect with your body and see what it really needs.
Yes, and one of the biggest things I often see with one-on-one clients as well, they come to me and then they tell me like, what should I do? Tell me, what should I do? What should I do? And of course, I've got a plan, you know, I've got some years of experience so I can help them with, you know, getting started. But the body is not a car. The body is not a car. The body is a living organism and it needs to dance, you know? So we are not like a workshop where you just bring it over, you change the tires and then both all works well. It's an organism and it has an intelligence. And that's a big mind shift. And university medicine still hasn't done that. You know, that you can trust the body, that the body is not attacking itself and all of that. So I'm working with clients to help them and the gut feeler community to help them understand that life is not happening to me. Never. It's never happening to me. It's always happening for me. So whatever disease, whatever illness, whatever chronic suffering you're experiencing when you're watching this right now, there is a, as cruel that as might sound when you just hear it, but there is an intelligence in that and it serves you in some way. So for example, one of the more non-physical things that I do with some clients is I have them every morning, I have them as a routine, write down. So they have a symptom, for example, acid reflux, they can't sleep in the night, everything's burning, everything is painful and inflamed and red, and they're really suffering. So I have them writing down every morning or in the evening, whenever you do that, how is symptom E, for example, acid reflux, serving me? And that's, for example, just writing it down is like, what? Resistance. But once you got over the resistance, learning to just have this communication with your body and with your, not just with your body, with your soul or with your higher self or whatever you call it. And people get amazing information out there from it. So they stop like resisting it, you know, stop like fighting against it. Life is bad and I ate this bad food and I hate myself and all of that. It's all part of that's all part of the learning experience, really.
Yes. And yeah, the connection is getting better to yourself then.
Yes. Yeah, but yeah, the connection to yourself, but also maybe you find your life purpose. Maybe you notice that you have been like not relaxing enough and you have been stressful, you're always like overachieving and I have to work more because I'm not good enough. I need to prove myself and all of that is coming up.
Yes.
So it's more than physical health, much more, always. When any chronic illness is more than just healing the body.
Yes, every sign our body gives us is also a hint that, for example, if you can't digest food correctly, what things in life do you have around you that you can't digest properly? What information or situation is coming to you that, yeah, it's hard on your digestion, so to say. So
Yeah.
Another question. So what do you say to people that are scared about a detox, maybe emotional or physical detox?
Can you rephrase that?
If people come to you and they are scared about experiencing detox symptoms from the foods that are eating, or if they start digging into their emotions and bringing up a lot of stuff, are there...
That's how it goes, right?
Right.
I mean, that's how it is. Yeah, that's part of the game. So yeah, that's not, the cool thing is often the clients that are coming or the gut feelers, they're like, oh, that's me, you know, just me, I'm so scared, I can't do this, I have this and this pain. And then I tell them like, oh, you know what, almost everybody I have one-on-one tells exactly the same thing. So what I share with them first is like, first, you are not alone, everybody has that, and that's part of the game, that's part of the plan. Because fear really is an indicator of where growth wants to happen. So it's a good thing. If you feel your fears, you know where we're moving towards, you know, like there's nothing more boring than having a life where you feel just like, you know.
Every day is the same.
Yeah, we are like human beings. We want to grow. Intrinsically, we have this kind of growing feeling. But then everything that is new and we don't know, the mindset's like, ooh, 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 scared, 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 scared. I have that a lot with people who want to start a business, because I have friends who are right now, they feel inspired and like, oh, Peggy, I want to do that too. But, I'm too scared to. And I'm like, yeah, me too. I was super scared too. So that's part of the plan. That's just, yeah. It's about compassion. It's about going slow. It's about always reconnecting and listening into yourself. And people don't die that quickly. You know, it might get uncomfortable, and that might be part of the plan, or we might be able to avoid it. But really, healing journey is not like a, I don't know, like a Sunday cooking class. It's pretty fucking intensive. That's what it is. I'm not going to sugarcoat it, you know? Yeah. Sometimes you can avoid it, and sometimes it's also just, you got to go with it, flow with it. Going slow is always a good idea for the body, especially, like not going from omnivore to 100% raw vegan just because Peggy's doing it for a week or something like that. No.
That's way too overwhelming, for sure.
Yeah. And that's what I'm seeing with the medical medium community actually a lot, that people are like, oh, okay, I got the liver rescue, let's do the liver rescue cleanse, you know, and they're coming from an omnivore, I eat dairy, eggs, and everything diet to like, right now we're doing the liver cleanse, and the body like, what? You know, of course, that's not gonna happen. So slow, even with the celery juice, you know, maybe not 16 ounces in the morning, maybe it's 8 ounces in the evening before bed. Maybe that's a good place to start. So, yeah.
So what do you do to keep people motivated in keeping up their protocols, maybe food-wise or emotional?
Oh, I don't motivate people.
They motivate themselves?
Yeah. I mean, if I'm not there, I'm not the Tony Robbins, you know, like, yeah. No, I don't believe in motivation, really. I believe in people feeling inside that they can't live anymore like this, and that's an intrinsic that's like an intrinsic movement forward. But I'm not there and like, yes, keep going, yes, keep going, yes, keep going. Of course, I'm like super supportive and accepting and everything like that, but I'm not like the one who's like, woo, maybe motivation, let's do it. No, the thing that I do, the tool that I use is when the clients come to me first time, we have the first session, and after that first session, I ask them to fill out a worksheet, really, which is about their goals. Like what do they want to achieve in a certain time frame, usually 3 months. And then the most important thing is, why do they want to achieve this? This is called like an emotional trigger. This is anchoring the goals, because we all have goals. You know, you wake up, it's the 1st of January, and like, oh, I'm never going to eat chocolate again, and I don't drink any alcohol, and I'm just going to be vegan. And then the 4th of January comes in, your boyfriend split up with you, and bath, there you are again, sitting in front of the TV and doing all these things again. So that's not this. It's the same with the healing journey, you know. So I have them set the goals, and once you know, like, okay, I want to achieve this, I ask, why do you want to achieve this? So just for a personal example, for me, one of my goals was to create a business that can sustain more than just myself. And the why was, why this business needed to be successful was because I wanted to support my mother. My mother has multiple sclerosis. I have a super sick family. I'm just starting there. My mother has multiple sclerosis, and we never had a lot of money. And she lives in a small flat. And I want to go home to my mother and say like, hey, come on, got a Tesla, rented a Tesla. Shall we go? And then we want to drive her to, you know, like one of her cultural things that she loves to do. She loves to go into cabaret. I hate cabaret, but I'm going to do it with her. Cabaret. and just giving her a good life, giving her back at least a little bit of the gift that she gave me, which is really being born. So that's like one of the biggest triggers for me. Not the only trigger, but one of the emotional triggers that motivates me when I'm feeling low, when I'm feeling, I'm never going to do this, I'm tired, I don't want to do this interview, I don't want to do this film, I don't want to do this, then I can come back to this. So it's like an anchor.
That's a very good inspiration.
Yeah.
So helpful.
Yeah. One of the other things on this protocol, what I also do is, and maybe when you're watching this right now, and that's interesting for you as well, is that whenever we want to heal, whenever we want to change something, go for something new, it has a price. The good stuff that waits behind the wall has a price. And often we just think, we just evolve and revolve and, we just get better and better and better and we don't lose anything. No, like change has a price. So I ask every client who works with me to, after we set the goals and we know the why, I want them to feel into what does it cost me? Not just like the money that they pay me for one-on-one consulting, but the money, not the, maybe it's a lifestyle change, maybe it's a habit, maybe it's a friend that needs to go, maybe it's a location, but what are they willing to lose in order for them to get to that goal? It's really, 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 really important because it sets a good tone for the rest of the healing journey. It's like the opposite of motivation, really.
Yeah.
Like you are aware of what's at stake. What's at stake? What's the price? And you in the beginning, you set down like, what am I willing to pay for this? What is it worth for me? So maybe that's the coffee in the morning, or maybe that's one of your good friends who's always, not supportive and makes fun of you when you drink a celery juice or whatever. Maybe you need to take a break there, or location, work, could be anything.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. It's so helpful, I'd say, to get another standpoint that you usually see in the medical medium community, which is mostly just about foods and supplements, but there's also the emotional part behind it that plays just as big of a role as the foods and supplements.
Yeah, totally. Because everything's energy, really, So yeah. This is what I feel, this is what I learned in my whole self-healing journey, but also then, coming out and starting a business, really serving my life purpose, is to understand that everything is energy. So what I think is energy, what I feel is energy, the people I meet, as energy. Then also just like what I consume. Now with our friend here, the whole virus thing, not our friend or enemy, but it also serves a purpose really. But that's a whole other thing. And with this issue, for example, there is something that, it kind of serves us really. It's not always bad. So, yeah.
No, it's a wake-up call to the earth, and it makes people realize a lot of things, be grateful for a lot of things, and yeah.
Yeah, and like with the energy thing, what are you focusing on? Yeah, for example, like the most important time when the subconscious mind is very, very, like a baby, open and very receptive. The most important times are after waking up and before going to bed. So worst thing to do is watching the news before you go to bed. This is how you wouldn't treat yourself when you want to heal anything. So I recommend my clients, gotta go to bed, best thing, if you want to watch anything, dolphin movies. Anything with, water and happy animals and nature, things like that, that's it. That will create like a resonance field with your own body and will show you, oh, everything's fine. But every time the mind really can't decide. If I watch an action movie and somebody gets killed, the mind can't really decide, okay, that didn't really happen right now. You feel the same emotions, the same the adrenal glands are firing cortisols in the body, even if it just doesn't really happen. So yeah, that's another thing about energy. It's not just about food, it's also what you're consuming with your eyes, for example.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for joining in and sharing all of that wisdom. It was so inspiring, I'd say. Um, I have one more question for the end. If you could start all over again, would you do everything the same with your diet and emotional change, or would you do things differently from your current standpoint with the knowledge that you have now? Because I think you also went through a lot with your teeth that had to do with your emotional and just your rooting.
Well, I think really, like for me, it's all part of the process.
Yeah.
So it's easy to say like afterwards, oh yeah, I should have done this differently and this differently, but I was another person back then. So that other person couldn't have done anything differently. I feel we all do our best all the time with what we have available. So I do definitely not do, it's part of the game. It's part what brought me here. So if I, for example, wouldn't have all this health struggle myself and really feeling like, oh my God, I can't concentrate, I wouldn't have never knew what is brain fog or what is like anxiety or allergies, like all these limitations, I would have not been able to relate to. So it's very hard if you don't experience it yourself and you even have like a glimpse of it to help other people with it. I would first probably would have no interest in it. I would just like, I don't know, just do sports or art or whatever I'm good at. And second, I would not be helpful to them because it would always be like tips and strategies, but it would not come like from my own experience.
Yeah.
So no, it's a gift. I'm happy exactly the way it went. So yeah, just great.
Me too. It's all in the learning process. Thanks so much for tuning in for this absolutely incredible episode of the Healing Chronic Illness Summit. I think Peggy has shared some mind-blowing information with us, and I hope it's helping you to get forward in your healing journey and connect to your gut and your intuition. And if you want to reach out to Peggy and see some of her sharings, her YouTube and Instagram, or get in touch with her, then I'll put all of the links down below under this video. And you can reach out to her and check out what she's sharing. And we'll see you guys soon in another episode. And until then, have a good time. Bye.